Hello and welcome to my channel. My hook is 3.5 millimeter and I start with a magic ring. I chain one, and with the other one I have two of them. Now I yarn over and I go into the ring, grab the yarn, pull through, and I make a long loop. I yarn over, go with my finger right there, go into the yarn, magic ring, and make another long loop. Again, and over, I go back, another long loop, yarn over, go back. So I went 4 times into my ring. Now I grab the yarn and pull through all of my loops and I make a chain. I yarn over and again I go 4 times and make my long loops. So I have 1, yarn over, go back, 2, yarn over, go back, 3, yarn over, go back, 4. Grab the yarn and pull through all of them and make a chain. I have 2 of them, I need 2 more. So yarn over, go right there, make a loop, yarn over, go right there, another loop, and another one, and the last one. Now grab the yarn, pull through all of them, make a chain, and my last puff stitch. Go 4 times, that's 3, 1 more, grab the yarn, and I pull through all of them and I make a chain, and I have 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I grab this yarn and I close my magic ring, and where is the first chain, I go and make a slip stitch. Right here I chain to 1 and 2 and I go between my first and second puff stitch and I make 2 puff stitches right there. So I yarn over and I go 4 times, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. Grab the yarn, pull through and make a chain, and I go back in the same space with 1 more puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have 2 of them in the same space. Now I move to the other space where I go again with 2 of them. Yarn over, 1 more, grab the yarn, pull through, make the chain, and over, and I go 4 times, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and pull through, and again to the other one, 2 and 2 right there. Now I go between the first 2 puff stitches and I go with a slip stitch. I chain 1 and I go right here with 2 puff stitches. I have the first one, the second one. Now I move to the next space right here, where I go with 1 puff stitch. Move to the next one, where I go with 2 puff stitches. And 1 more. And again to the next space I go with 1 puff stitch. And to the next one 2, to the next one 1, to the next one 2, to the next one 1. And right here where is my first 2 puff stitches, right there on this hole I go with my slip stitch and I chain 1. Here this space I go with 2 puff stitches. On this one I go with 1, this one 1, right here 2, again 1 1 2, and repeat. Yarn over and I go with my first puff stitch right here. Then again 1 more. I move right here and make just 1 puff stitch. Move to the other space with 1 puff stitch. And right here 2 puff stitches. And 1 more. And I go with 1 here, 1 there, 2 right there, and I repeat. I finish with 1 puff stitch here and 1 to the other space. And now what I do is right here where is my first puff stitch is a hole, so I go with my hook right there and I make a slip stitch. I chain 1 and I go back and make a single crochet. Now I move to the other one, so only right here on top of my puff stitch, and make a single crochet. Move to the next one, so I just skip 1 stitch and I go to the other one. So I skip this where is the hole and I go where is the puff stitch and make a slip stitch, single crochet, sorry. Skip that space, go right there with a single crochet, and I keep going. And now where is my first single crochet, I go and make my slip stitch and I chain 1. Now I go with inside, some stuff inside, and a little bit more. And I go and I decrease, so I go back and go to the next one, so 3 loops and pull through, go to the next stitch and the next one, have 3 loops and I close. And now what is my first single crochet? I go and make my slip stitch and I chain 1. Now I go with inside, some stuff inside, and a little bit more. And I go and I decrease, so I go back and go to the next one, so 3 loops and pull through, go to the next stitch and the next one, have 3 loops and I close. And now I go right here and I make a slip stitch and I cut my yarn, I leave a little bit longer. And now what I do is I go in each back a loop of each stitch. I grab the yarn, pull through. Now I go to the back of the next stitch, grab the yarn and pull through, back loop to the next stitch, pull through, and to the first one, and I close everything right there. And I got the yarn right here. Now I change the color and I go with the magic ring. And here I go and chain and make 12 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 more. Now I close my magic ring, and where is the first single crochet? I go and make a slip stitch. Now I chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I go with a single crochet. Now I go with half double crochet into the next stitch, 1 more half double crochet to the next one, and a double crochet to the last chain. Next I skip a 1 chain stitch, and to the next one I go with the same. Again I chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. I go with a single crochet on this chain, half double crochet to the next chain, one more half double crochet to the next one, and a double crochet to the last chain. I skip one stitch to the next one, I go with a single crochet, and again chain 5 and repeat, chain 5 and repeat. And now I go right here, at least the first one, and I make a slip stitch, and I leave a long yarn and I cut. Now I go and chain 30, make my slip knot and chain. Now I cut my yarn. Now I go and make the flower. For that I start with a magic ring. And I go with 5 single crochet into the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Close the ring. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. I go and make a slip stitch. I change the color, grab the new color, pull through, and I chain 2. 1 and 2. Now I yarn over and I go back in the same stitch where I make the slip stitch, and I make a long loop. That's 1 time, go back, 2, go back, 3 and go back, 4. And now I grab the yarn and I pull through everything and I make a chain. Now I chain 2, 1, 2, and I go back in the same space and I make a slip stitch. Now I chain 2, 1 and 2. I yarn over and I move to the next stitch. And again I make a long loops and I go 4 times in the same space. 2, 3 and 4. Grab the yarn, I pull through everything and make a chain. Chain 2, go back and make a slip stitch. Now I can cut the yarn, the green yarn. And again I chain 2 and I move to the next stitch where I go with my loops. And I do like this in each stitch. And I go with my slip stitch right where is the first petal and I cut the yarn.